going out there. I'm like, I don't care who you are. I'm going out there and wrestling my match. I'm going out there and putting my life on the line for this. I like chick flicks. All right, I'll say it. Like I'm I'm an emotional guy, so like I like watching all these like sad movies that have happy endings.
I am your host, Kevin Brumley. Make sure you take a second to click on the subscribe button because you do not want to miss the content coming your way. We just posted a video last week of Kenny Monday, which is an Olympic gold medalist. We just put on a breakdown before the fights and then a post-fight breakdown of UFC 249. This week we have JD Younger coming on Thursday. And, we're constantly putting out content. And once the NFL season starts up and NBA comes back, we'll be cranking out even more content. And possibly this Wednesday, we might be going live to do a fighter companion for the upcoming UFC card. So, like I said, click on the subscribe button because you don't want to miss it. My guest today is one of the very best wrestlers in the nation. He is 3-time All-American. He used to wrestle for Missouri University. He just transferred to Iowa. Buckle up, Hawkeye Nation, because today I have Jaydin Eierman. So let's get right to it. All right, guys, like I said, I have one of the best wrestlers in the nation, Jaydin Eierman. Jaydin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
You know what? Not too bad. Hanging in there. So I can't complain, right?
Yeah, can't complain. Could be a lot worse.
Exactly. I'm fortunate that I have a job that, I'm still getting paid for, still working. So, and I know a lot of people aren't that fortunate. So it's tough to count your blessings right now, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So the first thing I want to start off with, I'm always interested in with talking to athletes is tell me about your upbringing, like your childhood, what kind of obstacles you faced, just how'd you manage to get to where you are?
Yeah, so well, I got into wrestling when I was 4 or 5. My mom got me into it. My uncle wrestled, he passed away when I was 4. So they got me into that sport because they just wanted it to be something we could do together, and it was in our family. So I got involved with it. My first year did never won a match, but it didn't matter to me. I was smiling, I was going out there having fun. And then the next year, I think it was 2001 or yeah, 2001, actually 2003, Mike Eierman came, he got an assistant job at the University of Missouri, and he came here, and then he started coaching also the Rockbridge Little Kids Club, and that's where I was. And then me and him started getting together, and we just drove from there. Like over the years, we just grown more and more and more. And, not a lot of people know this. My biological father wasn't really involved in my life. And so he took over like the dad role of me. He dated my mom until I was in high school, and then they split up. But I still considered him my dad. He raised me since I was 6, 7 years old. So I always lived with him. So we were always wrestling, whenever we wanted. And that's the story that nobody really knows about us, and it's so special because he's not my real biological father, and I took his last name for him because I wanted to give back to him for everything that he's given to me. So our wrestling journey just began when I was probably like 7 years old when we started it together.
That's really cool, the fact that, he meant so much to you in your life, and he didn't have to do any of that. The fact that, you guys have that kind of tight bond.
Yeah, no, he didn't have to do that. I'm not his biological son. I'm not his biological kid, and he pretty much put his life on hold to just help me and be a part of my life. And he took over that father role for me, and it really like saved my life for what I believe, because I didn't have that father figure growing up. It was just me and my mom, and then he came into the picture, and it just changed everything.
That's awesome. Like when you hear stories like that, man, it's like it's heartwarming. You know what I mean? Because so much time, and I don't know how much you get online, but like when you see these college athletes or even pro athletes, it's just hate. Like instead of just appreciating what you're doing,
Oh yeah,
it's all this hate. And like when you hear stuff like that, you're like, you know what? The world's not a bad place.
No, it's really not. His heart for everything that he does. Like he was like a father figure to every kid that came into our club. Also, me and Jaden Cox grew up together. And he was like a father to both of us. We drove around the country, both of us together, doing great things since we were 7 and 8 years old. and not a lot of people know that. Like, me and Jaydin have been together since we were little, and he's been our coach forever. You don't see very many Olympic athletes still with their kids club coach. Like, that's what's truly amazing of everything that he's done.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you talked about like, which is funny that your first year of wrestling, you never won a match, and you
Oh
look at
no,
yourself now.
yeah, no,
When
it
did you
is
realize?
funny.
When did you realize you could be special?
Um, it was that first year I'd never won a match, and then the next year, um, took sixth at kids state, and then the next year I was in the state finals, and everybody was like, "Who's that kid? Like, where is like? Did he just move here?" And everybody's like, "He's my dad, Mike, was like." No, it's the same kid. He just loved it, and we started growing and everything, and then finally just started getting better and better, and we started traveling all over the country. Started winning all the national tournaments, winning Tulsa and all this as little kids. But it was always he never really wanted me to win when I was younger. He never wanted me to peak like as a little kid because you see too many people putting so much pressure into kids club wrestling and high school wrestling. Like that's not when you want to peak. My peak goal is in college and international. So finally, I started realizing I could be really good when I got like into my freshman year at college, and I started doing really well with these top level guys. I'm like, wow, I could really do this, and then I just started working harder and harder, and now I'm at the point where I am today.
Well, two really interesting things you said there that like I think so important. If there's any young athletes or young wrestlers listening to this that really stand out to me, is the fact that you said that you don't want to peak at a young age, and
Hmm.
so often we put this emphasis on winning,
Hmm.
and it's so hard to like. Do you watch any MMA?
Yes, I do.
So did you watch
Love
the fights
it.
on Saturday?
I did. I had some
So
disagreements with some, but
sure, but Justin Gaethje said something interesting after the fight, and he was like, they're like, "Oh, this is the best Justin Gaethje we've ever seen," and he was
Mhm.
like, "That's because I lost, and then I had to go back to the
Mhm.
drawing board and figure out what I needed to change because it's so hard to change off of wins."
Yeah, for sure. Like we see too many little kids winning off of pure strength and size. You know, they're winning because they're just bigger now, and they're gonna keep saying like, "Oh, that works for me. It's gonna keep going." When I was a little kid, I was doing crazy thing, hitting high flyers and all this. You know, doing just having fun with it. And I just remember being told repeatedly, my dad also, that we've always been told like, "Oh, that's not gonna work when you get older." And my dad's like, "Good, because we're gonna keep evolving. We're not gonna stay here. We're like, okay, this is working for us now. We're working on technique, but it gets to the older age, we can put it in our back pocket if we need to, but we're evolving and we're learning how to wrestle." I know I haven't hit a high flyer in so many years, but I was at a world team trial qualifier. It was there and I hit it and I won the match, but it's like always in my back pocket because I knew it when I was a little kid. And these kids think that winning off of pure size and muscle and all that, we always used to be at tournaments and be like, we're gonna pick out who's gonna be successful and who's not. And we see them grow and then they get burnt out in high school. And we're like, I called that when we were younger.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And the other part I love what you said is the fact that you didn't win, your first year, but you weren't discouraged, man,
Hmm.
because nobody's great at anything when they first start out. And
No.
the fact that you come out and instead of just being like, "Oh man, this isn't for me. I just want to win," and you're just like, "I like doing this," and you
Hmm.
found a way to become better. And look at you now.
Hmm. For
So
sure.
that's awesome. That's awesome to see. Awesome stories. So ultimately, you finished with high school. You were a top, recruit. You chose Missouri. Why did you choose Missouri?
I chose Missouri because it was close to home. I got to be with my family, still continue my journey with my dad. Um, a big reason was wrestling for my grandfather. He's always like one of my best friends in my life. So being there and be able to compete for him was just truly amazing. And after my fifth year there, my grandfather passed away. Uh, it was 2 years ago. He wasn't there for last year's nationals, but it was just I felt like it was time for me to move on. For me, um, in my international career, Missouri didn't really have a strong RTC program, and I wanted somewhere that was going to be able to help me with my international career because that's my goals in life. It's not just trying to do good in college. It's my goal is to be an Olympic champion. And, Iowa, I felt like is that place for me. I needed that endurance and that place to where I need to learn how to stay in there and hand fight and sprawl and do all these things that I wasn't people don't normally see me. So I get all these things like, "Oh, you're the complete opposite of Iowa." I'm like, "But you're not missing you're missing the whole point. Like that's what I need." And this is the place where I'm gonna go to get that mental toughness of staying in there, hand fighting, sprawling. Because I can wrestle, I know I can, but now it's to where I can bang and wear out my opponent and then wrestle them. Like that's gonna be even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And just exactly what you said earlier is it's the more tools that you have, the more dangerous you are.
Hmm.
And exactly, you're like, hey, yeah, you're right. This isn't naturally my style, but if I can bring it to what I have now,
Yeah,
then it's just I'm
yeah.
completely
That's how my dad always thought of it as. You just don't want to be just a one-dimensional wrestler. He's like, I want you to be this Jaydin Eierman, then take Tom Brand style wrestling, Terry Brand style wrestling, Cary Kolat style wrestling, Satia style wrestling, and put it all together. Like that's how you're the best. You have so many tools that you can just open up and do whatever you want.
It's funny you said Cary Kolat because I don't know if you're aware, but Cary Kolat is from a high school that is about 10 minutes from where I live.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, like I'm from a place called Greene County, and Wyatt Henson is
Hmm.
going to
Yeah,
Iowa.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gavin Teasdale is from the same school as Cary.
Yeah, I love Gavin.
Yeah, so there's so many like for this small like just place. There's a stud rep Coleman Scott from my high school.
Yeah.
So pretty cool stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so you talked about Tom and Terry Brands. How Wyatt, when he was talking about Iowa, he was talking about how it's a family. It's the coaches just are more than just a coach. They seem
Hmm.
to truly care about you and your success, not just for what you do for them this year, but for long
Yeah.
term. Can you talk a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
about that?
That atmosphere in Iowa is just something completely different. Like I've never seen it before in the wrestling community. That state loves wrestling so much. Like they had 16,000 fans at the duel against Penn State, and seeing that, feeling that energy just makes me feel like home. And Tom and Terry and all the coaching staff, Morningstar and Telford, like everybody there cares about you. I couldn't tell you how many times like I gotten calls from them when I'm here at home and they're just checking, seeing how I'm doing, how's school going. Like they don't care like just about wrestling. Like yeah, that's what they're there for, but they also look to build character and build good human beings, and that's what I love about them so much. That team is like a family. They're so close. And that's why they were doing so well this year is like, yeah, they're really good, but they were willing to go out there and fight for each other and die for each other to win that national team title for each other. It wasn't just about individual pride. And because you always heard it like, we ain't done yet, it's always about we and not just I. And that's what I really felt like that was really strong about Iowa was that like family atmosphere.
I mean, I've talked about this in a few of my other interviews, and the one constant with great programs that you see is exactly that. The
Hmm.
coaches are more than just a coach. It's not what you do on the field, the court, the mat. It is this family. We're striving for excellence for life. I love it.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, so how's your training been going during the pandemic? What have you been able to do?
Just, ride my bike around. I'd be doing at least like 10 miles a day or something like that. Just keep my endurance going, doing my push-ups at night. But I haven't been on the mat, and people ask me like, why haven't you been wrestling? It's like, I don't really need to. It's like riding a bike for me. It's like you're not gonna lose what you have, but I just been studying like my film, like watching myself wrestle, seeing like positions I do really good in to see where openings I'm giving to other opponents. So I'm just taking this time learning things and I can picture it in my mind to where I know I can go out there and do it. So it's just learning these situations, seeing everything that's going on, and then just getting ready to go out there and do it when we get back into the room.
And do you feel like in a way that almost kind of helps is like a mental break from like the
Mhm.
grind of wrestling? Just kind of it's not like you're being a bum sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Just kind of feel
Oh
refreshed.
yeah. It's given me a new love for it because it's making me miss it really a lot. So I feel like this is gonna be really good for a lot of wrestlers. They're gonna find that new drive for the sport, and I feel like it's gonna help elevate us to the next level. But for me, it's like I haven't felt this urge in a long time where I'm like, I can't wait to get back to the mat. I have so much stuff I want to get back out to, and I feel like that's gonna just help me push my wrestling style to the next level.
Absolutely. And you talked about, what, Mike being a father to you. How much has he helped you in your wrestling career? Just like, how much, if he wasn't there, you know what I mean? And he wasn't
Oh,
with you day by day, just how much has he helped?
I don't think I'd be where I am today, and even in life as a person, I wouldn't be who I am today. Like he helped me and he gave me that father figure role. And then as a coach, he was always there helping me evolve and try new things. It was never of when I do something in practice, he wasn't, no, don't do that. That's not going to work. He was like, I've never seen that before. Now go off on it. Like show me more. Like, what are you going to do if they do this and then they do that? It's like wrestling was always like, he pictured it as chess. It's always thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead of your opponent, saying, "If I do this, he's gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this." It was always staying always one step ahead of your opponent because you're well into those positions, and that's why we always try new things in the practice room because, hey, we might not have seen it yet, but in the future, we might be in this position, and we were here in practice. We know how to wrestle in these positions. We used to do so many crazy things like doing headstands back to back, and he goes, "All right, wrestle." And then just doing all these crazy positions that like might seem like weird and unorthodox, but hey, you might be there in a match somewhere where you're
Exactly.
gonna wrestle. I was wrestling Molinaro at the World Team Trials, and I lost the match, but there was a point where I had a leg lace and I did like a headstand with it, and I scored points. So I'm like, wow, like who would have ever thought like this would be a scoring possibility? But it's because we try things in practice where kids that like don't pan out because they're just stuck with the basics.
Yep. Nah, I love that. And how cool is it watching him lead the charge and change the paths for wrestlers on and off the mat with the NERTC?
Yes, yeah, I love it. It's finally good that he's up there helping with guys because I feel like he was so underrated where we were at in Missouri, and not a lot of people wanted to. But now that he's going out there and doing big things, I'm happy for him.
It's really cool to see, with Stanford and Brown and all that coming together, and just like what he said about it, of just again, you talk about a legendary coach of going like, yeah, great, we're gonna get wrestlers ready for everything, but it's also with these connections that Stanford and Brown have, of just getting these wrestlers the opportunities outside of wrestling is
Oh yeah, for sure. He's always not just looking for wrestling. He's trying to shape them into good human beings and be kind-hearted.
absolutely. And here's a question for you. So like on Instagram, your nickname's the Riddler. How'd you get that nickname?
I actually got that from Flo gave me the nickname, and I was like thinking about it, and then they kind of like pictured it. They're like, oh, they're like because I try new things and people don't really have the answers to what I bring to the table. That's what they're like. Oh, that's why they call him the Riddler because if you don't have the answer for it, you're not gonna have any idea what's going on.
That's cool. I mean, that's a cool nickname, and I'm also a Batman fan, and the Riddler's like one of the cooler
Yeah,
ones.
it was really cool. I actually I can't wait, until I'm out of college so I can design these shoes that I have like in my mind. I think they're pretty gonna be pretty cool. To when I'm out of college, I can finally sell them because as a athlete we're not allowed to sell, but it's whatever. I can wait.
Yeah, it's just stupid, like the whole. But now it seems like they're starting to bend
Mhm.
that a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is
Just
good.
when I'm out of college, they're gonna have it.
Exactly. So one of my favorite things about watching you wrestle is you're fearless. You know what I mean? When you're in there, you're aggressive. You you don't wait for the match to come to you. You go out and take the match to
Mhm.
somebody. Where does that confidence come from?
Um, just it's really mentality wise because that's what like helps me separate myself from other guys is I don't really get that nervous or I don't think about it too much. I could be happy before playing, then when it's time to go, I flip that switch and I'm ready to go. But it comes down to I always tell this to kids like, why do you guys get nervous? They're like, it's because it's a big match. I'm like, why is it though? Like you could bring them into the practice room, that same opponent, wrestle them and not have any nerves because it's in the practice room. So why do you guys over like exaggerate the big picture of this. Like, it's just one match. It's not because the guy's so much better than me. You could bring him into the practice room and you guys could wrestle all day and it could be a different outcome than what it is. But that nerves kick into the match because you're trying to be like, wow, it's such a big arena. And that's like, I feel like I've helped myself so much because I'm like, it's just a match. I'm going out there, going to put a show on the fans. That's how I've always seen wrestling as. I'm giving these fans what their money's worth.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really strong, smart mentality. And if there's anything I've taken from this interview already is that you're very big picture oriented, and you're clearly an intelligent guy where it's not just like, oh yeah, I want to do this, this, and this, but you know what you need to do to take that to the next level.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
here's a question for you: where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Hopefully, I see myself with a family of my own. Hopefully I achieved my goals in wrestling that I set out for myself. And then, hopefully get into UFC, MMA, kids club wrestling coach, and then a motivational speaker, go to schools and talk to kids about how to be successful in life.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, here's a question for you: would you ever fight MMA?
Yeah, I want to. It's seeing all these wrestlers getting into it. It's like that mentality I have. It's so fun. Like, I'm like, I'd be down for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big time MMA fan, so I would definitely tune in. Okay, so I'm gonna say a name to you. Okay,
Okay.
tell me what you think.
Okay.
Yanni,
Creative wrestler.
creative wrestler. I like it. Do you guys have a good relationship because he's the top guy right now at your weight class,
Yeah.
and you're the only guy to beat him in college.
Yeah, there's no bad blood between us. We always, when we see each other, we'll talk, we'll have a conversation, talk about wrestling or how everything's going, but there's no bad blood. It's because when we're on that mat, we're competitors. We're going out there and doing it, and when we're off the mat, we're chill. But yeah, I feel like me and him have pushed each other to new heights. Me and him battling with each other. It's always really close. We're always getting in weird positions that everybody's excited to see. So it's always like, hey, I'm ready to go out there and put on a show for all these fans and die on this mat battling against you.
I like it. And, with someone like Yanni, who is extremely, decorated as a wrestler, I feel like sometimes when people, and it's not just wrestling, but when people step on the field or the court or the mat against somebody, just the name can almost defeat them. But
Mhm.
you come out and like, and it's that mentality you talked about, like, oh, if I'm in the practice room or whether I'm in front of
Yeah.
60,000 people, you just have this, I'm going to be me, I'm going to wrestle my style and go
Mhm.
after them. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like people like, yeah, I respect my opponents. Like, I respect Yanni. He's a great wrestler, but I don't give them too much respect.
Yeah.
I give myself respect where I'm like, I know I'm a really good wrestler and I know I can do really well, and I give myself respect. Like, people will fear me as just as much as I fear them or something. And so going out there, I'm like, I don't care who you are. I'm going out there and wrestling my match. I'm going out there and putting my life on the line for this.
That is the exact mindset I wish every athlete, had it exactly that. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game. We're gonna do some rapid fire questions.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So, favorite athlete ever?
Tom Brady.
Ooh, okay. I'm a Steelers fan. I can't.
I love how Tom Brady is, how he lives his lifestyle. So it's funny. I used to fall asleep every night listening to the Brady Six documentary, just listening to everything he went through at Michigan, fighting for his spot. It wasn't given to him. He had to earn it every single day he went out there. And then being the 199th draft pick to becoming a six-time Super Bowl champion and being probably arguably the greatest of all time.
Oh yeah,
It's just unreal to see like how so much hard work he put into it finally pays off.
well, and the fact that after he did what he did, like he ended up becoming a starter, multiple time Super Bowl champion, it still wasn't enough for him. Like
No,
that
he
dude's
still
hungry
wants
and
more.
crazy.
He is. He's never satisfied.
Like I hate him as a Steeler fan, but I love him as like a sports fan.
Well, you gotta be happy that he went to Tampa Bay now.
I am. We don't have to see him as much. Your favorite sport that isn't wrestling?
Hmm. Either MMA or golf.
Oh, golf. Okay. Okay. What is
It
your
takes
favorite
a
food?
lot of Italian pasta.
Okay. Is there a specific Italian food you like?
I like like some Alfredo. Doesn't matter, chicken Alfredo, chicken Parmesan, any Italian dish is just amazing to me.
What
My
is what
family's
is
kind of Italian, so it's like it just fits in perfectly there.
I love me some Italian food. What is your favorite food in season when you're trying to make weight?
And she's pasta is really good. I like to eat. I like to keep the carbs in. I don't really cut a lot of weight. You know, the max I get, like I haven't worked out like wrestle wise in so long, and I'm still sitting like 150, 153.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a big cut for me at all. So I like to keep that energy, give me those carbs, and make sure my body's feeling really well.
Absolutely, because I was in a jiu-jitsu tournament and like I had 2 weeks because I was a late entry and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And I was walking around like I don't know, like 175, and I had to make 155. And so
Yeah.
I had to like cut all carbs and stuff like that. So I made the weight and all that, and I wrestled my first match. I went in like 10 seconds. My second match was going the full, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last minute of the round, I was just drained. And I'm like, man, I was in good shape. I was running.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought about it, man. You took out all your carbs. You have no energy.
Mm-hmm. That weight cutting takes a big role into wrestling. That's why my first year at Mizzou, I was wrestling 133. And halfway through the season, like I just wasn't feeling myself. You know, I didn't have a love for the sport. I was cutting weight, worrying about my weight 5 days, 7 days a week, and it wasn't just fun. It became like a job to me, and I wanted to be fun and have fun with it. So ultimately, I made the decision. We made the decision. Thankfully, Coach Smith let me go up to 41 and try out, and it worked really well for us. You know, I All American that year and ran a gauntlet at nationals to get to All American, and that it just shows like weight cutting plays such a huge role in athletes, and if your body's feeling great, you're going to be one of the greatest ever.
And you talk about that burnout factor. That's 100% it. You
Hmm.
go back to the MMA world. Look at Frankie Edgar. 55
Hmm.
champion. He's probably walking around about 55.
Yeah.
It's just that exact idea. Okay.
Hmm.
You have a favorite video game.
Call of Duty right now.
Okay.
Love it. I'm playing with my friends and all that. We get
Uh,
in and we get toxic with each other.
it usually winds up me playing it and then getting mad that I lost and like I'm done.
Oh
Never
yeah,
playing again.
we have a group of I play with a group of 5 guys on regular basis. You know, we have our little clan that we have on there that we just every day we just go on there and then just challenge everybody. We get heated and we'll talk smack to them.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What's your
Actually,
favorite?
we actually have 5 dogs. At home, we have 2 boxer mixes, a lab, a Yorkie, and then I have my pit bull. He's laying down right next to me right now. If you can see him, he's all cuddled up, but he's a good boy.
Yeah, I'm a dog guy through and through.
Yeah, I can't. Dogs are just man's best friend.
I agree. What is your favorite movie?
That's such a hard one because people don't know this. I'm like really like I get it. I like chick flicks. All right, I'll say it. Like
Okay.
I'm an emotional guy, so like I like watching all these like sad movies that have happy endings. So that's just me. Like if it's anything, like I'm watching it.
I like it. I like it. Worst way to die.
Drowning. I just couldn't picture myself not being able to breathe. Like I've been underwater and I'd be like just panic a little bit, and I'm like I can't do this. So
Like
I feel like
I've
that's like my
dove
worst
into
fear.
a pool, you get to the bottom, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, it's just a different level of terrifying.
Is it better to burn out or fade away?
Hmm. I'd rather. That's such a hard one. I wouldn't want to burn out. You know, I'd rather fade away. Wrestle in the sport for a long time and then just be like, all right, it's my time to go. Like these new level of kids are up, but like burning out would just. I could never imagine losing love for something I loved so much and done my whole life. I wouldn't want to be able to burn out of that.
Okay, I like it. Have you ever bought a CD before?
Mm-hmm.
What's the last CD you ever bought?
The last CD I bought was probably for our Christmas party. It was like a white Santa, and I was just messing around, and I bought somebody the Justin Bieber Christmas album on the CD, and it was a joke, and I gave it to them, and they just died laughing.
That's funny. Okay, so last one is let's say you win a gold medal, Okay, you're labeled as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and you have a chance to get a celebrity's digits. What celebrity do you want to get their number?
Oh man. I thought about this really. Uh, I don't know honestly, because like I have a lot of celebrity crushes, but probably the girl that plays Harley Quinn. I love
Oh,
her.
Margot Robbie.
Yes, love her.
Yeah,
Her and Wolf of Wall Street is hilarious, and then she's just amazing.
I'm with you. I'm good on that one. um, so I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know you don't have to. I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
No, no problem. It was an honor to be on the show and hopefully, help little kids around the world.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you next time.